Hello, everyone. My name is Carrie, and I'm interviewing Brobble on September 20th, 2020 for the WiC Oral History Project. This interview is being conducted and recorded in a private Discord chat. This recording will be made available for anyone interested on the Black Dragons Discord in the Oral Histories channel. Thank you for joining me today, Brobble.
Yeah, Carrie's making me laugh since 2019, so I'm happy you're having me.
Oh, God. He's one of my favorite people in the game. You guys are going to have a treat here. So, Brobs, how do you pronounce your in-game name, and why did you choose this name for yourself?
Yeah, so it's called Brobble, and I chose it at some other game back then, another browser game, and which I quit at some point. And I just let my mom play my account alongside with her other account, by the way. So she's multi-boxing.
Oh, that's great. Go,
And
Mom.
it still is. It still is. And sometimes she's showing me her progress, by the way. But that's another story. So I'm not even interested anymore, but she does, you know. It just insists and says, come on, over here. I'm going to show you what I did. And I said, no, Mom, I'm not playing this game like 3 or 4 years anymore.
Oh my gosh.
We're talking about Game of Thrones. Yes.
Yeah, so let's go back to that.
how did I get into it? So
we were talking about your name. Your game name. Yeah.
Yeah, with the name, yes. It's meaningless. I just chose the name randomly back then. I played other games as well and I can tell you, I had other names. I had some World of Warcraft character, which was a mage that was called Shaylin. You might even look it up in the armory, I guess. It was pretty good. I had a lot of first kills and stuff, and yeah, honestly. But I quit playing like at Wrath of Lich King. Anyway, so I chose another game, another name when I started some kind of browser games, which was Brobble. Don't know. It doesn't mean shit.
Okay.
And I use the same name in Game of Thrones. That's it.
Okay. What first made you interested in playing the game?
Game of Thrones, dragons, Tyrion, and Facebook.
Okay, then.
So Facebook ads just made me interested in playing the game. It worked out pretty well for that.
Yeah. And when did you start playing the game?
Yeah, like April or May 2019. Shortly after K19 was founded. Like the first people on K19. And I think I joined like 2, 3, 4 days later.
Okay.
But honestly, I cannot tell exactly.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a while, and there's a lot of things that's happened since.
Yeah.
Does your mom or anybody else in real life play with you?
Nope. I could elaborate on that. I showed it to my mom and also some other people, but they were mostly not interested.
Okay.
And my mom also doesn't want to adjust to new games, you know? She's playing that old browser game I showed her.
Yeah.
She's fine with that. That's just enough for her.
Okay. So you started out on K19. Tell me about when you started. What was it like?
The game?
Yeah.
What it was like? Well, it was a whole new world. So I think when you started, you had a bubble lasting for like a week or two. I don't remember.
Okay.
So you could evolve your city pretty quickly. Things started moving, and you just did see some progress and stuff. But you also just realized pretty quickly that things gonna take a little bit longer later on. And after my bubble dropped, one of the first things I realized is that there is players which are a little bit ahead of you. So they just come and destroy what you just built. At least when it just comes down to troops, you know? And I realized, oh, come on, you can build a building which is called hospitals.
Surprise!
That might be useful at some point.
Yes.
And this was mostly the first moments when I played the game. Of course, I joined an alliance back then. don't ask me. I cannot quite remember the name of it. And a lot of people were more or less inactive there, or not, at least not willing to chat,
Right.
Yes,
So,
but the first weeks of playing the game were, I would say, not nearly as interesting as the game got later on.
okay.
It was kind of boring, even just some stupid clicking, and you had to evolve. But the more interesting things about the game, they happened way later on.
Okay. So, how long did you stay with that first alliance, approximately?
2 weeks, maybe.
Okay. And where'd you end up going, and why?
I think I joined in another alliance then, which was a little bit bigger than us, and they were threatening us. And I thought, okay, our people are just not reacting. They don't want to team up, so I'm just going to leave this alliance behind and join the bigger ones, Just join the winners.
Okay.
Which I usually don't stick to be honest. But in this case, I did because there was no reason that had me back.
Okay. Yeah, you didn't really have any attachment to them yet.
Exactly.
So
I joined the other alliance.
Yeah, what were they called?
Yeah, I just told you. Oh my god. How were they called? If I would still be on K19, I could look it up because they were in there. This harbor thing where the other alliances are mentioned.
Okay.
And the problem is when you switch kingdoms, you get another harbor, so you see the other alliances.
Oh.
So the alliance would still be in there, but it doesn't happen anymore. I can't remember, honestly.
Okay. Was this
Doesn't
the
matter
one?
because the alliance wasn't that important as well.
Oh, okay. We're not talking about Doc's alliance yet, then.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Then never mind. They don't matter. Sure.
So.
Okay, so how long were you with the?
I to that alliance for a while.
Okay.
We were at some kind of island near Harrenhal. Most people will know this.
Oh, the little one.
This little island.
Yeah.
And we thought, oh, okay, that's gonna be a great spot. No one can attack us. They always have to have some marching time and stuff, which is true.
That is true. Yeah.
This will not hold off bigger players just to attack.
Not at all.
Yeah, and in the end, at some point, we were there for like 10, 14 days, I would say. And then some other alliance, which was called NKM, just appeared and attacked us. And they didn't even warn us, those silly bastards. They just went straight to it. They only attacked us. And that was the first time in this game that my game told me, wait, another alliance declared war on you, And I thought, oh my gosh, stuff is happening. Because in the end, it doesn't mean more than one city is being rallied,
Yeah, but that sudden shock of first seeing it, yeah.
The game itself makes such a big deal about it.
Well, yeah, because it's the first time seeing that. That makes sense.
Really, right?
Yeah.
If you see that for the first time, you think, oh my god.
The bright red flashing, yeah.
Yeah, no.
You're like,
shit's gonna hit the fan.
All right, so the shit has hit the fan. What happened then? So NKM came along and.
Yes, NKM came along. They rallied some of our people.
Okay.
And after like 2 or 3 days of war, it went out that we got into communication with each other. There was even in the other alliance, I met some other German guy like I am, and we had a lot of fun playing the game back then. And we tried to poke the bigger alliance NKM a little bit, and also managed to attack some people, that were reinforcing rallies. You know how the game works. So we were able to just zero them out quickly and stuff. So it was kind of fun. And so at some point, NKM just got into talks, and we found out that there were a lot of Germans amongst them as well. You even might remember some of them, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's not that important, I think. Uh,
It is your choice.
and in the end, the war ended with a merge. So,
Okay.
uh, yeah,
Were you part of that decision, or you just were along for the ride?
I was along for the ride. I was not part of
Okay.
that decision. It was not up to me to make the decision. Even the leadership of my own alliance didn't want that merge, but they were not that active. So we were some kind of a group of, let's say, 7 to 10 active players who were not in leadership there, and we were trying to do stuff and fight the war, and leadership wasn't doing shit. So we just decided, okay, let's go there. We're gonna join this other alliance and leave all this behind, you know.
Okay.
And that was basically our start on K19, more or less, because then we were part of NKM, which was one of the top 10 alliance for quite some time, and we also merged with other alliances later on.
So, who was the leader of NCAM?
That was Lavash.
Okay.
I think, yeah, you might remember him.
Yep, no, but I remember Lavash.
Yeah,
all right.
Of course. Okay.
And how did that lead to the next group of mergers?
Through uncountable different borders, I think. Next merger was with 3 alliances, which was some kind of similar power. So we just played for a while, and we always had some kind of contest with another alliance from K19, which was called Vex or Shenanigans, whatever. Where you mentioned Doc, he was the leader there, and also DRV, which were a little bit behind us, at least when it comes down to power, but they had a lot of nice people in there, where the leader was in the rear. And at some point, I think mostly Doc and the rear had a good thing running, and we had a good relationship to Vex and Doc, basically. We, as our Hives group, we just agreed on a map between Vex and us back then, with Dog, and just to avoid any unnecessary casualties, amongst smaller alliances. And then it just showed up that Vex also had a good relationship with DRV, so at some point the idea just grew that it might make sense to merge all of the 3 alliances into one. And basically that was the second while when VDN was born, it was a short form of Vex, like a V, D for DRV, and N for NKM,
Gotcha.
And so I suspected something like, oh my god, what did I suspect? You remember that movie, like the 100 and stuff?
Yeah.
And there is some, no, I can't remember. There is some symbolic thing about 3 again as well.
Okay.
So,
it don't matter.
Yeah.
Keep going.
We can cut that out. Anyway. So in the end, we decided to merge those 3 alliances because all of us wouldn't have been able to survive on our own.
I gotcha.
And it just made sense.
Okay.
And it was, I would say it was one of the best organized and most successful mergers ever I did see. And
everybody was on board.
I would even agree that I would even say that 80% of the people I still know in this game and still playing with me, and I still do trust and even have personal contact to, are from this merger back then.
Wow.
Which is not too bad, yeah.
No, that's very impressive. So what happened? So VDN is born. You join VDN with the rest of them, And then what happens?
Well, like things always happen,
Yes, they do. But what
Um,
happened to you?
we voted for Illyria back then to be
Uh-huh.
leader of the alliance. She was a, let's say, it, a female with a whip.
Yes.
so
She was a strong woman. That's the
So
term you're looking
we
for.
designated for her to be leader because she was
She was
lovable on the one side, and on the other side just
able to
doing
crack
stuff.
the whip.
She was just doing stuff right. I can't explain,
Yeah, no, I get it.
Sometimes women do things better than men. It
Right.
happens. Not always, but it happens.
Oh, props.
Let's get back to the game.
Yes, let's do that, shall we? Nick can hear this later and make you pay for that. So, keep going.
Anyway, so honestly, I loved Illyria as well, but she had to quit shortly after the merger because of private reasons. So,
right.
No bad blood or anything. She just had to quit the game.
Yeah, life.
If you ask me, the reason was the game was just demanding way too much of her free time,
Yeah.
One thing I mentioned at the start, of course. So then we said, okay, let's get it going. So Doc is gonna take the alliance lead.
Okay.
Who was leading Vex back then because Lavage couldn't do it. He was the leader of NKM, and I was just diplomatic there. So just playing along.
Right.
And so Doc did do it, and I was called up to being diplomatic, and we did that for like 2 or 3 more weeks maybe. But Doc wasn't happy as well because of, well,
he had reasons. Yeah, he had reasons.
Yeah, private reasons, girls, and all this kind of stuff. It even sometimes it even happens in these games that people get to know each other. And then other people join alliances and they get to know each other as well. And somehow they really, you might not imagine, it's just a computer game, but they just, get in trouble.
They connect.
Whatever happens, when human beings get into relationships, that's always causing troubles. Especially when it's about men and women, whatever. So
continue.
Group, like only 3 weeks after Illyria quit, Doc quit as well.
Okay.
And he just made me, he just made me leader of this new alliance.
Surprise!
Yes, I didn't volunteer for it. He even came back for it like 2 weeks after and said sorry and stuff and tried to organize a little bit so we can get everything done, but by that point it was just too late, of course. So that was, I think it was the hardest time for me in this game, even because I did not quite get respected from other alliance leaders.
Really?
And yeah, sometimes. And I had to try to get myself heard, and just understood. And other alliance leaders, to start with, they just didn't. We had some kind of kingdom council, and other alliance leaders.
Yeah.
They just said, well, probably, what you're talking about, you just got the leadership. You don't even know what you're talking about, so just shut up, more or less.
I didn't know that.
Version of it.
Okay. So things changed over time for you, though.
Yeah, they did.
So let's talk about that. What ended up happening with VDN for you?
What it ended up?
Yeah, so you're leading VDN.
We were developing for quite some time.
Yes.
Usually I wanted my alliance to mostly play the game how I would have imagined it.
Right.
Just being respectful to others, but still playing the game like it is. So if you get attacked, then it's just pixels. It doesn't matter anyway. And things like do not complain about stuff in whatever public channels. It doesn't get you anywhere. And just try to use the means that the game offers to you to get yourself safe. And maybe at some point we can even be able to make some good alliances or friends and move on forward from that, which indeed at some point even happened. We had a lot of enemies on our K19 back then. And although seeing that the kingdom itself was pretty strong in KVK and stuff, it was, I would say, all-out war almost all the time.
Yeah, there were definitely some alliances against each other.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot, though, was more due to misunderstandings and miscommunication than anything else.
Yeah, I think even we even grew to the, let's say, number 3 or 4. No, we grew to the number 4 of alliances back then.
Okay.
The first one was VMO back then.
Right.
Followed by KSG, and number 3 was FFT.
Yes.
Which you know pretty well, by the way.
Yes, I do.
And we were basically number 4. And I honestly had a hard time of getting accustomed to other leaders, even of the top 3. And all of them were a little bit difficult for some times, which honestly, which changed later on. So
it really did. Let's
it did.
Yeah.
It did somehow.
Let's shift to that actually. Yeah, because I mean, you did have those struggles, but I remember when I ended up on the kingdom, you were definitely one of the more respected people. So it wasn't as long as you think. We ended up on the kingdom in August, the end of July, beginning of August.
And I think that this disrespectfulness might have been more behind the curtains. Maybe.
Okay.
So, as you might not know, there always was a kingdom chat and the kingdom council, but there also was a chat only including the top 5 alliances.
Yes, that was later.
Which was a little bit more harsh back then,
Yeah. that was later.
Also, maybe what I'm saying is also more about what I got through messages privately told to me by other alliances, So that's just, of course, let's be honest, that's just a personal opinion anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
And I can even understand that people are just holding a little bit back when you got some other alliance, which is also top 5, like every other one. And there was just a new leader, and I did big mistakes even at the beginning, because I got into chat there and just told everyone my opinion about stuff.
Didn't get taken also, very well, huh?
Yeah, I didn't quite hold behind when I was just taking an opposite opinion.
Right.
And they didn't take that easy. So they just said, okay, we're going to respect what you're saying, but maybe pay a little bit of attention. Otherwise, you're going to get your alliance into trouble.
Oh, no.
Well, I did it after it. Doesn't matter. That's just a learning process you have to get through.
Yes. So what ended up happening? What time frame are we in at this point? What was that?
No, what time again?
Yeah, sorry. What calendar-wise, what are we up to at that point? September, October, what?
Yeah, maybe August, September, I think, last year.
Okay.
More or less. That's almost the time where BDS appeared on the server.
Yes.
When BDS came into K19, I was mostly over that point I just talked about.
Okay. So, all right.
It was way more relaxed for me back then. And I think when you came, when BDS came to K19, VMO was ruling, right?
Yes.
And it was Cloud already
No,
having
it was still
leadership of
Liz.
you?
It was still
It was
Liz.
still Liz. Okay,
Yep.
okay. Honestly, Liz helped me a lot, by the way.
Good.
She did.
No,
So,
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta admit that. She helped me so much. I guess I'm always gonna be grateful for that, because I would have had a lot harder wave in front of me without Liz. So Liz supported me in my task amongst other alliance leaders like a lot, and
I'm glad.
I pretty much appreciated that back then.
So, what ended up happening then? Around this time, BDS and AGL and the families moved to the kingdom, and anything particular happening around that time, or should we move forward?
Yeah, let me just think. On K19, right?
Yeah.
What was happening back then? The switch in leadership on VMO happened a little bit later, so
Yeah, not too long after that, but yeah.
let me think about it. I think during that time, it wasn't that long, not much of a time. It was like 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, no, it wasn't much.
You can skip that, honestly.
Okay. So, what happened after Cloud took over for you?
At VMO, yeah.
Yeah.
Cloud, at first sight, Cloud was one of the people that were not quite content with me as an alliance leader in the, let's call it some kind of inner circle of leadership. So we didn't get along to start with, but I had to live with it as well, and he just took over.
Okay.
And at some point it's like with all human relationships, At some point you just get to talking to each other, and people are gonna start respecting each other's opinions as long as you let the other side talk a little bit and just listen to what they're gonna say. So things worked out pretty well in the end.
Good.
What happened as Cloud took over? I think Cloud basically just continued what was there in the kingdom. And he had more or less 2 alliances to manage to start with, which was GCM and VMO back then. So I think this was kind of time consuming for him as well. He tried to get rid of that pretty quickly at some point.
How did this all impact you?
Me?
Yeah.
Not at all.
Okay. Because then we can move forward. No, this is about you, honey. This is not about the
all.
kingdom. This is about you. So if it didn't
me.
impact you, then we can move.
It didn't impact me at all.
Okay, so let's get to the next point where you were impacted.
Let's say the only impact to me was that as the leader of the number 1 and number 2 or 3 alliance of the kingdom just got king, he was more open for discussion, which helped a lot of things. And also it impacted me in a way that he led both of his alliances against another alliance, which was called KSG back then.
Right.
And so more or less there was a war raging between VMO and also GCM, led by Cloud, both of them, more or less.
Yeah.
Against KSG, which in the end led to at least us as the number 4 having a little bit more quiet life. And also we found a lot of friends in KSG back then. They attacked us somehow and stuff, but we always stick to this path I told you before, that we just gonna be respectful,
Yeah.
We're gonna accept attacks. It's just a game, and we still gonna make fun of it together with other players.
It's all pixels.
Oh, come on, mistakes happen and stuff. So it's way more fun if you play the game you fight each other, and why not just meet in voice after it and talk about it, what the other ones did wrong and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
There is sometimes so much to laugh about. So that's not a waste of time. It's just enjoying what the game is offering you. So you pay for it, and sometimes you get something for it. All right.
Okay. So you built up a good relationship with KSG.
That's true. We did. At least to a lot of players there.
Yeah.
And somehow it even happened that they got into serious problems somehow. Internal problems.
Yeah.
So that was even beneficial for us. So this way we managed to get a lot of the players into our alliance at some point.
Yes. The exodus of KSG to VDN. Yeah. So, yeah, that brought over like RJ and Phobo and yeah.
For example, you know?
Yeah.
Just to say officially, that was never been intended, you know?
No, but I remember you messaging me about it. Like, oh my God, this is happening.
Yeah, and I was happy as well because I didn't know the people behind it at this time.
Right.
But I did know that these people from other players, there were some players which switched to KSG back then from our alliance, and they told me, "Whoa, this is insane! They are so much more ahead of you. You know, they got this and that and spreadsheets and whatever."
The infamous spreadsheets.
For example, you know. And,
yep.
And I just thought, okay, if you're gonna get that, why not? You know, that's not gonna be a bad thing at all.
Nope. Just definitely a different style.
Yeah, I was pretty happy to get all those people in, and also before they came in, most of leadership issues were up to me.
Right.
And after that, we were really able to spread it out again. So as it was, I think it was convenient for them to be able to switch alliances because they were really unhappy because of internal stuff.
Yeah.
And also it was pretty much convenient for us because we had like, let's say 30% people which were not really playing active. So at that point of time, it was really important to have just active people. It was not important to have all just people going all in.
Right.
No, the people just have to play every day. And when you got like 20 to 30% people that just log into the game like once a week, it's just not gonna get enough. So basically, that was the next merger then, which happened more or less. I would call it a merger.
Yeah.
And we didn't call it we didn't call it like that at any point of time, but
no, at the time it seemed, at least from my perception, that it was more of you were just taking in a bunch of people that needed a new home.
Well,
but the amount that came in ended up being more of a merger.
Yeah, but the thing started with like 3 to 4 people.
Yeah.
Then after a week, we were at like 10 people, and I would say after 3 weeks, it was like 30 to 40 people.
Yeah, it just started people following each other.
Exactly. And I also, I could see my alliance profiting for it, so there was no reason to be against it.
Yeah.
That's just the way it works, you know.
I get it.
You had to remove, of course, some people that were not actively playing, but well, I can't do shit about it. No, you can't. It's just you got some active people, and you just want to get them together.
Yeah.
Want to remove other ones, you know. It's this is how the game's working all out. Anyway.
So
that was, yeah.
No, I was just gonna say. So now your alliance has grown significantly. You have more people that have joined you. That has definitely made your alliance stronger. How has that impacted your ability to lead?
Like mine because I would assume that I never had any ability to lead, but it affected my alliance like a lot because we got a lot of people in there that had the ability to lead, at least as much as I did. So, and those people were active, they were willing to participate, so we were able to spread out stuff all out through over the alliance, you know?
Yeah.
So we had people like doing diplomatic things. We had people taking care of statistics and spreadsheets, and you know all this kind of stuff. And for every little corner, there was anyone who just specialized in it. So it was working out pretty well.
Yeah.
And honestly, that was mostly the most relaxing time in the game for me. So
Really?
I could come, yeah, I was able to call myself a leader of an alliance, but in fact, it was other people even managing it most of the time. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
we talked about stuff. We talked about stuff in the background and said, okay, how are we going to do that, this or that? But in the end, it didn't matter, you know. If
Right.
I would have just gone for 2 weeks or more, it wouldn't have mattered because those people were just insane. They were all brilliant.
You were very
That's-
fortunate with the leadership team you had developed.
I didn't develop it myself. They just came to us, and there were some players amongst them, like Dennis. I don't know if you remember.
I
He
remember
just-
Dennis.
I talked to him, and he told me what the people can do that joined our alliance. You know what they did at
Oh,
KSG
okay.
and stuff, and we just tried to. Well, spread competences amongst peoples. You know.
Yeah.
Um,
You're trying to
because-
teach and educate.
I can tell you that the alliance they left always suffered from one thing, which was some kind of hegemonial system, you know. So they had, I would say, they had one leader, and the leader was trying to control everything.
Right.
And I'm also in the opinion that whenever you have an alliance of consisting of a lot of active people, they want to get involved. So you gotta get them some kind of, let's call it how do you call it?
You need to give them a job, something to do. Get them
Not just a job,
motivated.
Yeah, a little bit more than a job, but even oh my god,
Responsibility?
responsibility.
Oh,
That's
okay. We got there.
that's it.
No,
You
I
just gotta give
agree.
it to them, and they're satisfied. They're not only satisfied because they can do whatever they can. It's just working out, and even if you're called a leader, you can just spread responsibilities amongst different kinds of members.
Right.
So
So,
to start with, that was a great time. Anyway,
no. So, let's move forward a little bit. So, at this point now, the kingdom has gone through a bit of an upheaval, right? Bigger alliances have moved in, and eventually Cloud is no longer leading, and you are asked to lead. How did that go for you?
the kingdom?
Yeah.
I wasn't asked to lead that.
Okay, we'll correct that. You weren't asked. You woke up one day to discover your king.
Mm.
You want to talk
Yeah.
about that?
May I go one step back?
Okay.
So,
Yeah, go back a bit.
the thing I was just talking about happened way before, I think CTL was coming into K19.
Yes.
So there was a little bit of time between this.
Yes.
So CTL came into the kingdom. We pretty much even became friends with CTL, at least to some point, and tried to support them a little bit and stuff. But anyway, VMO, as a leading alliance, which was to be expected, didn't become friends with CTL,
Right.
more or less. And at some point, things got a little bit rude about it, stuff, and CTL always just joined the kingdom without the, they were not willing to lead. They just joined the kingdom and wanted to support people,
Right.
supporting KVK, supporting everything, and they didn't want to lead, meaning um, holding King's Landing, more or less.
Okay.
So, and at some point, they got into war with VMO back then, and VMO just didn't want to hold King's Landing anymore. So, also, of course, some things amongst my alliance just went apart, that people said, okay, if VMO don't hold King's Landing anymore, CTL doesn't want it, well, why not just take it? And I said, no, please, no, don't do that. You can see in Kingdom Discord whatever shit we're gonna deal with then, so let's not do that. And what you're aiming at is probably that at some castle siege.
Mm-hmm.
VMO wasn't taking King's Landing. I was just asleep, and some pretty much respected members of my alliance just let's take it.
Yeah.
And when I woke up next day, they said, okay, you're gonna be king now.
It was funny. I'm sorry. I was in Discord when it happened, and I'm just like, really, guys? Does he want this? And they're like, well, it's happening. So
I wonder how it was holding you that long, honestly.
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, of course, just because of CTL just holding back. Let's be honest.
But
they could have easily taken King's Landing or whatever, like at any time.
Oh yeah, no, it was pretty much handed over. I don't think anybody fought them for it. At least I don't remember.
Exactly.
I think Alice was anchoring it, or it was RJ. One of the two were.
Yeah.
But in any case, so congratulations, you're king now. And you had a kingdom to rebuild.
Rebuild?
Well, a lot of the alliances had left at that point.
Do a quick cut there.
Most of the mid-tier had left, most and smalls.
So after I got king, like unwanted, but I did get it.
Yeah.
We suddenly faced a situation where we had to rebuild the kingdom because a bunch of the bigger alliances just left the kingdom, just in the course.
Yeah, a bunch of the mid-tiers and.
Yes, they did, and for our surprise, we were even quite successful about rebuilding the kingdom.
You really were. That surprised me. I mean, BDS had already left, but I was hanging out, helping you out with some stuff, and.
Oh, but it worked out somehow.
Yeah.
I oh my god, I could tell a lot of stories about that, but that's another thing, I guess. And anyway, there managed to be some other alliances coming back to K19, and we got pretty successful again, having an active kingdom.
Yeah, you bounced back really well. Like, didn't you bring in like 6 or 7 alliances?
5 or 6, I think. Yeah. 5 alliances. It was 5. No,
5?
That's not
okay.
But yeah, it worked out. And they were all quite happy. Even, oh my god, I can remember some of them just told me, why are you giving up King's Landing? Because at some point, CTL just stepped up, of course, and they said, oh, we're gonna take King's Landing. This was for a reason, let's be honest, because if it comes down to KVK, we always had one big problem amongst our alliance. We were lacking really big waves. So if the enemy would have some 1 or 2 big waves, we couldn't defend it. That was our problem. We had a lot of really adorable and active members, but we didn't have really big waves. So the best choice was, of course, to hand over King's Landing to CTL,
Right.
where Napoleon was, for example, and he could just hold it and defend it for whatever reason. And it just didn't make sense to lead a kingdom when you're not the strongest alliance with the strongest players. It can't work.
I got
It
you.
did for quite some time, but let's be honest, it did work with the support of CDL and all the other alliances.
Well, also
Only,
you served a different. You weren't there for the strength. You were there for the unity. You were there for the social.
yeah, of course.
So I mean, you might not have been militarily as strong as Cartel, but you were able to do something equally as important. But it does make sense transferring over
Yes.
when you were talking
And
about that.
and with other alliances now arriving at the kingdom,
Yeah.
this changed a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
So, because we had some other big alliances even coming, like how were they? NW1 and also how was it called back
RSI.
then?
Yeah.
RSI, yes,
Yeah.
which is called ASG now, right?
Yeah.
And they were also coming and they were leading their kind of different kingdoms back then, and they were coming to our kingdom because we were somehow able to convince them, but
Well, their
and they
kingdom
also
had gotten
said, okay,
invaded, and Cartel had spoken to them.
for example, yeah,
Yeah.
and in the end, this helped out the kingdom like a lot, but we 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 couldn't lead it anymore, at least not forever.
Right.
But that was just to be expected. So I never felt any bad about that. Uh,
No, you were off the hook. You can go back to not having to get DM'd every single second of the day.
oh my God, yeah, that helped a lot.
So, let's move forward, because we're getting out a little bit here. So you're no longer ruling. What happens next? You move up to Winterfell,
Yeah, we did. We
and you
moved up.
tried another merger that didn't go quite as well. Correct?
We moved to another spot back then. We even, how things are going when you give up leadership and stuff, then you always have some people leaving the alliance. Then also back then we had some other people, even some kind of famous people like Calvin,
Ah,
who
yeah.
joined our alliance. And of course, I can totally understand that they at some point joined CTL, which had just a better perspective on things like we could offer them.
Okay.
So that's totally okay. In the end, we learned a lot of different kind of people and tried to develop whatever was allowed to ourselves and tried to do mergers and stuff, but not everything always works out like you plan it.
Yeah.
And whenever something doesn't work out like you plan, you just decide to try something new. And at some point, we got to some point where we said, okay, K19 is not going to be our future. This is not going to work for us again. And if we stay here, we're just going to get stuck or whatever. So let's switch things like a little bit.
Okay.
And that was the point of time where we got into contact with Gene. We already talked about, or we already talked with, and we basically decided to go to K34 at some point and just leave our own home kingdom back. So honestly, that was the only kingdom change I ever did in this game until now.
How did that feel?
It felt weird to start with, but well, let's be honest, it was just a click. So no, it doesn't matter that much.
Well,
And
if I'd asked that of Nick, she would have been like, it was horrible, leaving our home and all that. So, it's
it felt honestly, it felt like that, yeah. But I didn't have the feeling that we had that much of a choice.
Right.
Otherwise, it would have just been horrible over there.
Well, the size differences of everything was
And
noticeable at that point.
from today's perspective, looking back, I think it wasn't the worst decision even. So
No. So you ended up joining your old friends from K19, GCM on K34.
we were joining our old enemies.
Yeah,
that's
frenemies.
Fun, you know?
Frenemies. We'll call it frenemies.
We were merging into our old enemies, which is the most fun about it. You know, we had so many enemies back then on K19, but I think this was one of the magic things about this kingdom, that there were so many enemies, but still being able to communicate disrespectfully with each other. No, not disrespectfully, respectfully.
Respect.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Exactly. Totally. Absolutely respectful communication all over. And there wasn't even many issues when I was proposing my people to just merge with GCM, because they almost everyone said, "Come on, you're for real? You know, that's our own enemies on K19. We cannot merge with them." And I said, just think about it for a little bit, and what happened back then, and how those people behaved. And so everyone just gave it a thought, and I think almost no one just was able to say, no, that's not going to happen, which is pretty pleasant in my opinion.
Nice.
So you just play the game. You just play the game against each other, and you can play it with each other. It doesn't matter, as long as you're just respecting each other. Anyway.
So let's talk about, just real quick, what would be your proudest moment in the game?
Proudest moment?
Yeah.
My team. Yeah.
Your what?
Shortly after the KSG people joined us back then.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people amongst them which were just amazing people, and they helped us. They helped our alliance step up by a lot, and they also pretty much took the decision by themselves to take over King's Landing at some point. And they also, despite me saying no, you know, just saying, no, I don't want to take that. This is going to get us into a lot of troubles. They said, we know this is going to get us into a lot of trouble, but they said, we're going to help you. We're going to work together. And this made me proud, honestly.
Nice.
That made me love all those people just forever, I guess.
So, what do you think is the key to a successful alliance?
Trust, friendship. Nothing more.
Okay. And are there any people in particular that you admire in the game that you'd like to mention?
In the game?
Yeah. Or was part of the
Tyrion.
game, whatever.
Yeah, Tyrion.
Tyrion?
Tyrion is just badass.
You're talking about Game of Thrones. I'm talking about the game. Smartass.
I'm just kidding.
He's not.
No. Honestly, people, you mean other players, you know?
Yes. I will elaborate. Other players in the game.
Honestly, I admire Cloud.
Okay.
For just teaching me a lot, for respecting me after some little bit of getting used to each other. Also, Khan was a nice guy back then.
Okay.
So I still remember him, you know, and
he's still kicking about.
Liz as well.
Okay.
and also Napoleon, of course, for his diplomatic style, of taking over K-19 at some point. So that was making things a lot easier. They could have taken everything by force anyway, but they didn't. So I pretty much admire that. But honestly, let's be honest, there is no players you can admire by their skills of playing. It's just the skill of playing is not deciding in this game.
Right.
Okay.
So, 2 more questions, and then we'll be done. The first is, are there any special moments that we didn't mention that you'd like to mention? Were there any special moments in the game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did get you.
Oh, okay. I heard the
That I'd like to mention. Give me a second.
Okay.
Honestly, none that I would want to share publicly.
Okay. That is perfectly fine. Then, last question from me. What is the one thing that you would like people to remember most about you?
About me?
Yeah, about you. Hail the Drunken King and all that.
Yeah, people don't have to remember me. I don't care about that, honestly.
Probs.
Oh, come on. That's not... That never was my intention, and that never would be my intention,
I know, but
That's
you're memorable whether you like it or not. Deal with it.
If they agree that I always was respectful to them and treated persons like they would treat others as well, then I'd be fine with it. I don't want to get remembered for anything. This is not... It's not deciding in this.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to include in this recording?
Yeah, like a lot, but I don't want.
Well, you're already at almost an hour, so, I could do a part 2 at some point.
No, I won't.
No, you opened that door, now it's got to happen. At some point, part 2. Yep. I have recording of it now.
Man, I could tell, I could have told so many more again, but it's pretty hard.
Well, then we'll wrap it up here. Thank you so much for your time, Brobs, and I will talk to you on Discord.
Thank you, Karen.
All right.
See you soon.
Yep, bye.